Being someone that has worked in retail for a majority of my employment career, I can understand the mixed confliction that a lot of folks have when it comes to self-checkout. I mean, a lot of people feel, and even though they might exaggerate this, a lot of folks feel that self-checkout is going to take over and that it's going to put a lot of people out of work and that there's going to be no, jobs whatsoever for people to make money off of. Now, I get that mixed confliction. I do. Some even, are more positive about it. Some are like, hey, it'll make things easier for the customers, be able to scan their own items and get out quicker than they would with a regular cashier. And with the store itself, it opens up, other possibilities for people to, apply their craft elsewhere that are already working there outside of being a cashier. So, so I can understand, like I say, that mixed confliction of those that are afraid of what, potentially could be, as well as those that are looking at the positive side of things of what could be. But it looks like, none of those conflicting emotions, if you will, are going to have to be, brought to the forefront for some time, because apparently a lot of, retail giants, from Walmart to Costco to Target to Safeway to, I would assume Kohl's in some areas have them. But basically, like I said, Walmart, Costco, Target, Safeway, Lucky's, Alden's, Dillon's, if you will, all these places that, may, use self-checkout, apparently are coming together and basically saying, look, we might have to close out self-checkout for the time being, or we may have to rethink our self-checkout strategy in the near future. Because apparently when it comes to self-checkout, there have been an alarming amount of thefts that have happened. And we're not talking thefts where people, try to break into the self-checkout machine and take the money. No, we're not talking thefts, where people will pose as maintenance workers for the machines or for card reader machines and then put a skimmer in there to try to steal people's information. No, we're talking theft along the line of people going to a self-checkout, and scanning the items that, they bought, but then potentially taking one item, that they, put in their basket or whatever, taking it, let me see if I can use an example, like taking it like this and just going, instead of doing the beep, scanning across the scanner, instead they'll take something like this and be like, make it look like they scanned and then put it in their bag. And the end result with that false scanning, if you will, is, loss of money, loss of, merchandise, loss of money. So a lot of retail outlets, like I said, are now taking a step back on, self-checkout and potentially closing, some of the self-checkouts down for the time being until they can come up with a better solution. Now, some areas in San Francisco have kind of taken a, I guess you can say, very innovative step in trying to prevent, not just, shoplifting, but prevent this false scanning from happening. But even though it's, even though it's a very innovative first step, it's still not enough. So what's going on, I'm not sure if it's just here in California or it's across the country. I would assume it's across the country because, Walmart and Target, and Costco to an extent are big retailers. Basically what's going on till, this situation is solved and, there's a, like I say, a resolution that will, I would assume, allow self-checkouts to keep going, but prevent, theft from happening. For the time being, self-checkouts are going to be, non-useful. And what that means is folks are going to have to go to cashiers, actual people, and check out. That's what they're going to have to do. I mean, I've seen with my own eyes. People try to steal stuff from the store. They've tried. I worked at Walmart several times. I mean, not several times, but I've worked at Walmart long enough, almost a decade, 6 years. 6.5 years. I worked there here, over in Patterson. I worked there. And basically, long story short, I have seen numerous times where people will, try to walk out, the front doors near the garden area, near HBA, with a cart full of stuff and try to steal it. Heck, when I was coming back from lunch, I'll never forget it. I saw a car pull up. And I asked this guy, because I was thinking, okay, do they need help? Do they need instructions, directions, of where to go? And they said, oh, no, I'm fine. And the next thing I know, this same car pulls up slowly to the emergency exit where a garden is. And then another guy comes out of that emergency exit, real quickly, setting the alarm off, and taking off with a bunch of hardware stuff that they stole. A bunch of, tools, like power tools that they stole, and then drove off. And yes, I told security, I told my management team what just happened. I told them, look, I thought the guy needed help. I had no idea about what was about to happen. And they accepted my explanation. Because I was on lunch at that time. So there was nothing I could really do. I couldn't get on a walk-in saying, hey, we got a situation here. So, I worked, like I said, long enough at Walmart to see this kind of stuff. Heck, for a brief period when I was at not brief period, but for the year, a little over a year, about almost a year and a half, I would say almost a year and a half, I was at Target in Turlock. Basically, we had a situation to where, we had a guy steal something right in front of us, right in front of me and one of the managers, one of the front end managers. And she was guiding the guy over to me, saying, hey, sir, you can check out here. She was guiding him over to me, and the guy just went, out the window, out the front door, just ran. So I can understand, why stores would want to resort into having to do something about this when it comes to self-checkout. Because again, what a person's going to do is they'll take an item, that, they'll put it in their bag, make it look like they're going to pay for said item, but instead of going like this and having the scanner go beep, instead they'll just glazedly put it over and make it look like, they scanned it. Or what they'll do is they'll look around, make sure nobody's seeing anything, and then maybe pull it away from the scanner, make it look like they're scanning it, and they'll put it into the bag. That's what they'll do. And I believe, honestly, because again, I've worked at Walmart long enough. I've worked at Target long enough. Well, at least a year, not as long as Walmart, but still. I worked there long enough. I've worked in retail overall long enough to know that this is something that, unfortunately, even if you like self-checkout, even if you enjoy the ease of self-checkout, being able to scan your own items, take your time sometimes if it's not too busy, I can understand maybe the frustration of now having to go to a cashier, and checking out. I can understand the elation of people being like, see, these stores are now getting the karma given to them. Now hopefully they'll just rely on regular people. I can understand all that, but from a loss of profit, and basically a damage to the store, if you will, financially and, merchandise-wise, I can understand why they're doing this. I mean, it's one thing when you have people sneak out or try to sneak out, certain exits or emergency exits, with the items. I can understand that. I get that. I understand and I get that. That's not a problem. That's not an issue. But again, I can understand that frustration. But when it comes to self-checkout, that basically is the most, I'm trying to find the right words to say here. That is the most, most suspect, I wouldn't say suspected, but most suspicious way for theft to happen. You know, that's what it is. So I don't blame anybody, any of the stores, whether I've worked for the company or not. I don't blame them if they wanted to take a step back on this. Because right now they have no other choice. They have no other choice because, again, all a person has to do is take an item like this. All they have to do is take an item like this with the barcode, and instead of scanning it where it goes beep, all they have to do is just lightly go over it to where it doesn't touch it, or pull it away enough to where it looks like they're scanning but they're not, or just basically, basically put it into the bag, basically put their hand, or put the arm over the scanner like this, and then just put it into the bag. So again, I don't blame stores for having to do this. I don't. And it's going to be an interesting scenario going forward, of how they find resolution to this. But in closing, here, let me say this. I don't think self-checkouts are going to be gone forever. They will come back. They'll probably come back a lot sooner. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to have more than one watcher at these self-checkouts. Because that's always been the thing. They've always had just one person at these self-checkouts. So I got a feeling what you're going to have is 2 now, maybe 3, to ensure this kind of stuff doesn't happen. That's what I think is going to occur. But I just wanted to talk about that, guys, real quickly. Give me your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts overall on self-checkouts kind of going on hiatus for right now? Because of this, let me know. And until next time, I will talk to you later. But yeah, give me your thoughts, and I will talk to you later.